Hello and welcome to the Flourishing Introvert Talks with me, Jo Rawbone. This is the podcast that celebrates the natural gifts of introverts so that we can flourish in all situations. Episode 283, Riding the Storm Within. As is often the case, when I turn my thoughts to my next podcast topic, a song that has stayed with me from my murky past springs immediately to mind. And this week was no different. Riders on the storm. Into this house we're born, into this world we're thrown, like a dog without a bone, an actor out on loan. Riders on the storm. These profound words were sung by the Doors in 1971, and the reality is that we've been born into a house that hopefully understands our values and quiet traits, but we've sure been thrown into a world that didn't, is starting to maybe. If I have anything to do with it, the latter is certainly true. My mission, after all, is to enable at least 1 million introverts to flourish authentically. And because I believe that thoughts become things, of course it's destined to happen. It's not often I share the workings of my mind, the jumble of excitable thoughts rushing around my brain like a whirlwind or a tornado, without first editing them for my audience or for the sake of my own reputation. And like many introverts, I have a very busy brain, so busy that it keeps me from sleeping most nights. The roar of the whirlwind can, on occasions, and especially it seems at 3 a.m, be deafening as thoughts ricochet, scenarios replay, and conversations are rehearsed or rehashed. And of course, the whirlwind doesn't die down during the day either. It takes quite some effort to remain upright, functioning and coherent with all of that going on, but it does explain why I'll sometimes wince or cover my ears in what appears to be a random fashion. Like that's going to make it any better. Numpty. And because of my busy brain, I have to be ever vigilant for the potential rabbit holes that lure me in. Think of it this way, like a pinball machine with the ball pinging between lit-up targets and bumpers. The chaos, the noise, the squirrel chasing can be paralysing at times. I'm pretty sure many of you will know just how this feels. But to the outside world, I may appear to have it all together. I will admit to having worked hard on my swan-like qualities, so I'm pretty good at presenting a calm facade. Indeed, for some, I'm too calm, if only they knew. The reality is that only those who know me well see just how hard my little legs are working under the surface. And to be honest, that's the way I like it. You see, I don't know about you, but I get flustered and a bit panicky when others are manic around me, especially those who purport to be leaders. Now, there is a very good explanation for this. It's called emotional contagion. More on that in a moment. Decades ago, I learned about the Batari's box model that shows the cyclical nature of our attitudes and behaviours. It goes like this. My attitude influences my behaviour, which influences your attitude, which influences your behaviour, which then impacts my attitude again, and so the cycle continues. More recently, I heard of the phrase emotional contagion, where we can quite literally catch, albeit subconsciously, other people's emotions. Comedians rely on laughter being contagious. Politicians and warmongers rely on fear being contagious. But me, I've chosen to perpetuate hope with the intent of that becoming contagious. Hope and positivity are frankly considered acts of rebellion in today's twisted society, and I'm up for being a positive rebel. So how do these two concepts connect? Well, Batari's box provides the structure of the loop, and emotional contagion is one of the key mechanisms that fuels it. For we introverts, understanding this connection is powerful whether we are a leader, a coach, or a parent. When we can regulate our emotional state and bring calm, empathy, or positivity, we're not just being nice, we're being intentional. It's how we powerfully influence the entire dynamic of an interaction, for better or for worse. And once we're aware of our ability to shape how others show up, I believe we have a responsibility to use it for good. That's why I chose to work on my swan-like qualities without denying my true emotions. They are mine to manage, not to lay or project onto others. So with this hope and positivity rather than pain in mind, I do want to name the elephant in the room, the tornado trap. That's what I've decided to call this chronic churn of thoughts, ideas and analysis that keeps us circling rather than moving forward. I've known myself to become paralysed by over-preparation, analysis paralysis as I've long since called it. These days, my mantra of done is better than perfect minimises my self-sabotage that comes in the form of holding myself back, second-guessing and postponing inevitable action. When I don't live from that mantra, I experience more mental fatigue, like I really need any more, self-doubt that sure as hell feels like the truth, procrastination, usually based on fear, ghosting my own needs, and over-editing myself until I don't even make sense to me. My real lesson here, and one that I know is important to share with you, is the need to reframe the whirlwind that is the tornado trap and its associated noise. I've chosen to reframe it as the tornado tamer. You see, I acknowledge that the tornado will probably always be there to some degree or another, because the inner noise itself is not the enemy. It's data. It's evidence of our deep processing, our drive for integrity, and our hunger for meaning. So as with much in life, if we're honest with ourselves, either I allow myself to be swept into the tornado trap, or I do what I can to tame it. Here are some strategies that work for me, and as ever, take your pick or use them to craft your own. Number 1, name the narrator. You know that my inner critic is called Gladys, my inner advocate is Goldie, and my inner rebel Trixie. So I decided it was time to meet Tempestra, my inner weather-making magician, or Tempestarius, to use the formal moniker. It's Tempestra who has the power to raise or prevent storms at will. She's just claimed her seat around the round table of my sub-personalities, so let's see how she fits in. Number 2, purpose first, perfection later. Just make progress. Having said some time ago that it's important to use our fear as fuel, it's time to let purpose be louder than doubt. Anchor your intentional actions firmly into why you care. Then allow yourself to be messy, imperfect, but still in motion. Progress matters more than polish, and sometimes, as I'm sure you'll have heard, the polish is either impossible or unnecessary, so don't waste valuable effort. Number 3, mindfulness, not silence. Don't try to silence the thoughts. Observe them and allow them to float on by. Of course, you can jot them down or journal around them if it helps, or walk with them to embody them. Remember, your thoughts are not the enemy, but being swept up in them all of the time is really not helpful. Number 4, the power of a single focus. Multi-thinking is a myth, a mess that my Tempestra uses as ammunition. Think in Pomodoro terms and choose one thing to focus on for the next 25 to 40 minutes, even if that thing is rest. Decision fatigue thrives in scattered energy. which in turn saps self-confidence. I feel my tempestra groan when I set my timer for 40 minutes. That's my preferred Pomodoro window. And that's because she knows her task is to prevent the storm in my head during that time. I can tell you this much. She much prefers whipping up a storm to preventing it. Finally, number 5, clear the cache. Your brain is brilliant, but it's not designed to hold every open loop, half decision or pending message. That's what external systems are for. And we know that when we don't clear the cache often enough, things don't work properly. So if you want an equivalent, do a 5-minute mental download in between your Pomodoro slots so you capture everything that's still rattling around in your brain. Close some tabs. Use whatever form you prefer, to-do lists, voice notes, intentions, anything that closes the loop and creates the equivalent of a clean sheet of paper in your mind. Tempestra can whip up a storm, but she can't blow me off course if I'm anchored. So as I bring this episode to a close, remember that your thoughts are loud because you care deeply. It's not a flaw. It's your compass. It's your power. It's what makes you unique. I encourage you to give your thoughts direction, not dominance. Tame your tornado so you can ride the storm and calm the chaos. As ever, please let me know what works for you and what you'd like me to explore in a future episode. I'm here to serve you after all. If you enjoyed this episode as much as I did, then please subscribe, rate us and leave a comment, because we know that helps other people find the podcast. And if other people find us, other introverts can flourish.
You are listening to an Intentional Media Production podcast.